Enugu, I'm sure we can give him a better welcome.
Good morning, church. Before we sit down, I would like us to take something together. Projector, could you please put up this verse, Luke 4:18. We'll just recite that together. So, I find this really insightful because this was Jesus' first sermon before he started his ministry, and he went into the synagogue and asked for the scroll, and was actually quoting from the book of Isaiah what he was saying here, and I would like us to all take it together. But I'll first say why. It says, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he has anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to preach deliverance to the captives, and recovering of sight to the blind, to set at liberty them that are bruised, to preach the acceptable year of the Lord." Okay, let's go back to the first page. So this here is very significant because Jesus Christ was narrating the main purpose of the Spirit of the Lord being upon you, right? The rest is a bonus. Your tongues, your gyrating, your rolling on the floor, fantastic demonstrations, all right? But the main mandate of the Spirit of the Lord being upon us as people of God is that it anoints us to carry out these mandates. And as we say in Nigeria, charity begins. Okay, so let's narrate together. 1, 2, go. "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he hath anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to preach deliverance to the captives, and recovering of sight to the blind, to set at liberty them that are bruised, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord." Let us sit down, please. As we go into this session, it is my hope and sincere prayer that the Spirit of the Lord within us helps us indeed to bring sight to the blind and to shine lights into the darkest corners of our minds, to give us illumination, especially on the topic at hand. In Jesus' name. First of all, I want to say a big thank you to the father of the house, Reverend Edwin. Please give him a rousing round of applause. I always say anywhere that Reverend Edwin is someone I would always say yes to. Anytime, any day. Anytime. And you can test this hypothesis. I'm not just saying it to sound nice. Test it. How many times have you seen me anywhere in public speaking this year? Very rare. But this is Reverend Edwin. No matter where I am in the world, when he calls me, I must answer. He is not just a pastor as you know him. He is so many things in one. He is our father. He is our mentor. And as a human being, he is one of the most exceptional human beings I know. You know, I was somewhere else talking about him, and a lady said, I don't even know who she was, but she heard I was talking about him. And she said, "Oh, Reverend Edwin, I know him. I don't go to his church, but I know him." I said, "How do you know him?" She said that she was taking care of her mother somewhere in the hospital, one hospital around Enugu here. And there was another patient in the hospital who had some kind of an accident, and Reverend Edwin came there to visit them and was trying to find a way to bring a TV for that woman so she could stream church services. I said, "Wow, that's Reverend Ed." Now, he doesn't even know that all these conversations are happening behind his back, right? But I said, yes, that's Reverend Ed. So please, let's celebrate him. Beyond accomplishments, I love to celebrate the humanity in people, and that is what attracts me so much to our Father of the house. Thank you, sir. Okay, so this is a strategic business meeting. How many of us were here the last time I talked about the rainmakers? Awesome. A good number of us have. I hope those have really borne fruit in your life. You know, we tend to be very conservative when it comes to money conversations, yeah? So we use a lot of euphemisms to refer to money. So when we say it has to bear fruit, you know, we don't want to, I'm telling you what it is, raw. It is money. The fruit is money, amen? So I hope it is bearing fruit in your life. I hope it is giving you money in your bank account. So when we say be fruitful, can mean many things. I'm telling you what I mean, money. How much money are you making? Ijiego? That's what I'm saying. Okay. All right. So real quick, I want us to go back to one of my favorite verses. I think I talked about it last time I was here, but we'll go into it again. Ecclesiastes 9:11. Now, the thing about this verse is, you know, it happens a lot when we read the Bible. We tend to sometimes interpret it through our level of awareness at the time. And even though I grew up reading the Bible, when I revisited the Bible somewhere in my 20s, I realized that whenever we remember Ecclesiastes 9:11, we tend to remember the beginning and the end. But there is a middle portion there that is very relevant to everybody seated here. So what we mostly remember when we quote this is the beginning, which is, the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong. Then we remember the end that says, but time and chance happens to that all. Am I saying the truth? Okay. But can we please look at the middle? Very poignant, very important to note. It says in the middle there that neither yet bread to the wise. Ain't that something? I thought they said that if we have wisdom that we'll have money. Doesn't that make you ponder? Okay. If that is not confusing enough, what's the next one? Nor yet riches to men of understanding. What's going on? You're telling me that I can have all the understanding and yet not be rich? That's not what they told us. So. They said now wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. What's going on? Okay, another troublesome verse. Nor yet favor to men of skill. I thought they said get a skill, get a skill, get a skill. What's going on? But time and chance happeneth to them all. I've had a number of interpretations of this, but I'll just stick to the simplest. The simplest being that you can be really brilliant. You can be wise. You can come first in class, but not first in life. Yeah, two different dimensions. But I'll explain it very simply, right? Very simply. With a question. We've been asking this question for so many years, and I don't know if we've had any definitive answer, but we will today. We say that, why is it that at a time where a lot of expatriates are coming into Nigeria, the Lebanese are coming, the Europeans are coming, the Indians are coming, they're coming here, and they are prospering. But the average Nigerian wants to achieve the Nigerian dream. What is the Nigerian dream? To Jakba. Doesn't that make you wonder? Yeah? It's so cool that we first of all read Jesus' mandate, all right? The mandate of the Holy Spirit. That it says that the Spirit of the Lord is upon me to proclaim recovery of sight to the blind. Every time I think of that, recovery of sight to the blind, I remember blind Bartimaeus yelling out on the streets as Jesus was passing, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. I am blind. I can't see. Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. I am blind. I can't see. Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. I get on Instagram and I see a lot of wealth. Everyone is saying there is wealth in Nigeria. There is wealth in Nigeria. But look around me. I am broke. I am poor. I'm getting by. Just getting by. Barely getting by. Why? What do they see that I cannot see? Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. I am blind. I cannot see. They say Nigeria is one of the richest economies in Africa. But that richness is not reflected in my bank account. What do they see that I cannot see? Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. I am blind. I cannot see. They see Nigeria as one of the fastest growing economies, the largest black country in the world. But none of that is reflected in my circumstances. I am blind. Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. They say Nigeria has some of the richest Africans and some of the richest people in the world. But none of that is reflected in my circumstances, maybe even in my whole family. What do they see that I don't? Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. I am blind. I cannot see. Let us disambiguate this. Let's go into our history. You see, one reason why the average Nigerian is struggling, the average Nigerian is struggling. And, people in church struggle even more. You know why? There's a bit of cognitive dissonance that happens to people in church because we are trained to do positive confessions, which has its place. But we are the species of people that will be suffering and saying, all is well. It is well. You are suffering, my dear. There's fire on the mountain, but nobody is running. Let the weak say, I am strong. I know it has its place, but my dear, you are broke. Do something about it. There's something missing. Start searching. It's a knowledge problem. But let us go into why. There's a big reason why there is a disconnect. Okay? And it comes from understanding our history. Bob Marley once wrote in a song, he said, when you know where you are coming from, you will know where you are going. All right? Now, in our history, before colonial times, has anyone had conversations with their mothers and grandmothers about something called the night markets? Does anyone still have any memory of those times? Anybody here, by any means? Man, it's a young audience here. No one knows about it. Okay, there's one person back there. Man, so few of us. Nobody has ever heard about the night markets. I know the elders here definitely would know about it, but man, I said on Night School recently. Night School is a live program I do on YouTube every Saturday. And I was just, I was kind of yabbing them a little bit. I said a lot of problem with young Nigerians is that you guys don't talk to your parents. I've seen that is a problem. You don't talk to your parents. You think that you know it all, but there's so much wealth in our history that only your parents can tell you. You won't see it on the papers. You can't Google it. It's not going to be in any book. It's the kind of knowledge that your dad or your mom will call you into their bedroom and gist you privately. You won't hear it outside anywhere. Right? And all of that will give you a lot of context about your origins. Maybe your family history, then maybe our collective history, maybe in your village, then maybe in your state, maybe as a country. But you need that. A lot of us, this generation, there's a huge disconnect. Only one person there remembers anything such as night markets. Anyway, there was once a time in pre-colonial times when Nigeria, what is now known as Nigeria, was once regarded as a high-trust society. All right? We have high-trust societies. You have low-trust societies. All right? So high-trust meaning that, your guard is down, there's less crime, people steal less. So back then, when the women of the night market were closing up and going home, they wouldn't just lock up their shops. They would leave their goods there, and they would indicate how much everything cost. So even if they had closed and you were passing by and you wanted to buy an orange, you would see how much it cost, you would put the money there, pick up the thing it was worth, and you'd walk away. No CCTV cameras, no surveillance, no security. That was just the way it was. All right? Whatever I'm saying here, go and ask your parents, ask your grandparents, or if you know anybody you can talk to in that generation, they will tell you. All right? And so, even though that sounds like a good thing, there are certain things that are not in our historical habits when it comes to exchanging goods and services. All right? For example, selling. Now, when we became colonized, and you should know what colonialism means, everyone who conquers the world at any time has the pen to rewrite what the new rules are. And this is not for anyone to feel bad about it. It's always been happening. That's the way the world works. At some time in history, we had the Persian Empire. And everyone who was under the domain of the Persian Empire had to submit to what the new rules were according to the Persian Empire. At some time, perhaps the most popular one was the Roman Empire. When you look into the Bible, and the Pharisees, or some people, I don't know who, came to Jesus and said, should we pay taxes to Caesar? What did Jesus say? He said, bring me a coin. And he said, whose face is on that coin? And they said, Caesar. Why was Caesar's face on a coin that the Jews were spending? Because at that time, they were under the domain, they were colonized or occupied by the Roman Empire. So, when an empire like that conquers all the world or a particular region, it is in the best interest of the people in that region to learn what the new rules of the world are. It makes little sense to hold on to that local culture because the rules of the world have now changed according to whoever held the pen at the time. Which is why, if you look into the New Testament, the Apostle Paul had more advantages than all the other apostles. Why? He had dual citizenship. He was both a Jew and a Roman. There was a place somewhere in the book of Acts where one of the soldiers looked at Paul and said, hey, what did this one do? We're not even sure. Put him over there and flog him while we're figuring out what to do with him. That's how they treated prisoners. But then Paul said, is it lawful to flog a Roman citizen who has not yet been convicted of a crime? The guy stood back and said, oh, are you a Roman citizen? He said, yes. And said, oh, please, unchain him, unchain him. He now had rapport with Paul. He said, oh, I too am a Roman citizen, but I bought mine for a price, a very high price. And then throughout, Paul was given, even though he was a prisoner, he was given all the dignity accorded to his Roman citizenship. Why was Paul able to write all those letters to the different churches from prison? What kind of prisoner has writing materials? You think about that? A dignified one. You know, see as they whip Jesus, a Jew. What happened to the other apostles? There were so many opportunities to let Paul go. They didn't want to kill Paul like that. He was just really insistent. He was insistent on going to Rome. But the lower guys that they were presenting him to were like, this guy, I don't see anything too serious in your case. Can you just stop talking so loudly and let's let you go? He was like, your ally is too much. Just go. He said, no. I must appeal to Caesar. And that was why. But they didn't really want to kill him like that. But the other guys, what? They fed James to lions. You know, that's just the way the world was. What I'm saying is that Paul had more privileges because he was more aligned to the current system of the world at the time. Okay, so after the Roman Empire, we now had what? The British Empire, of which Nigeria was colonized. Now, what does it mean to be colonized? It means that everything regarding how we function would now replicate the British system. From our money, at some point, you know, Nigeria once spent the pound, a kind of pound, yeah? At some point, you know, we did right-hand drive like the British until we transitioned to left-hand drive, right? Then our judicial system, our political system, we didn't have a concept of democracy. You know, at some point, Nigeria had a prime minister. I hate that I have to say all these things, but it's sad. Many people here don't even know. Many don't know. Please, try and be gisting with your parents if you have that luxury. Amen? It's very important. All right? So we replicated that. We once had a prime minister, we once, mirrored that system, and then we transitioned to the American style. All right? But that's not the only thing that we transitioned. You see, the curriculum of our education system also transitioned. Now get this. Who wrote the curriculum for our schools? Secondary school, university. Who wrote the curriculum? Is it Nigerians? You said who? Okay. Have you realized that we have all been educated to buy the way they sell? You realize that? Okay. We have all been educated to buy the way they sell. But you know why people are poor here? You were not educated to sell the way they sell. So the average Nigerian sells like his ancestors whose time have passed. So the word sell, even in our current vocabulary, the average Nigerian still speaks a watered down English. It's not quite English. You know, I hope I can be very frank with you. But, you know, I'm very vocal about how the average Nigerian speaks what I call slave English. You know what slave English is? Slave English is the kind of English you speak, the slave master speaks to the slave on the plantation. It's enough just for communication and to get them to perform the lowest level tasks on the plantation. That is, come, go, sit, stand. And you will hear this echoed amongst the poorest Nigerians saying, I beg you, English is just for communication. No, it's not. And so most average Nigerians understand literal English. We don't understand figurative English. So when someone is speaking, say, in metaphors, it's English language, but you can't understand what they're saying. Because this world, the English world, was created in figurative English. Did anybody study law here? The lawyers would know. They use a lot of figurative English, a lot of derivatives from Latin, and so on. But these are how the world was formed. Okay, so when an average Nigerian says, I am selling, what is the picture painted in their mind? The picture painted in their mind is that they gave someone a product in exchange for money. But that's not what selling is. That's the end result of selling. Okay, so when you look at a movie like The Wolf of Wall Street, right? Has anyone seen that movie? It's pretty old now. But there is this classic scene where the protagonist, the main character, says, sell me this pen. In that context, what does he mean? Yes, sir? Convince me, all right? Make me buy it, right? Sell me on this. It means convince me. So, does it make sense that to sell means to convince? Yes. So the average Nigerian knows how to just present something and exchange for goods and services. And he thinks that is selling. No, selling means to convince. And it's in our vocabulary because when you are convinced of my point, what do you say? I'm sold. Why do we say that? When you are not convinced of what I'm saying, what do you say? I don't buy that. Why do we use sell and buy in that context when money was not exchanged? And we say it unconsciously. And so the average Nigerian doesn't know how to convince a person of an idea. And you convince a person of an idea by understanding how that person was educated, by understanding that person's value system, by understanding that person's model of the world. And so most of us struggle. So we come, you know, we want to make money, you know, and we have a product, and we just come and we just present it. And I've made this joke before, you know, when you call a Nigerian business, well, an average Nigerian business, what do you get on the phone? Hello? You say what? What? Call an expert's business, expert in this case, meaning expatriate. Call a foreign business. And the person that will pick up is a Nigerian like you that was drilled and trained to the standard of the person that came here. Hello, good morning. Folake speaking. How may I help you today? You know they switch you for body. We know these things, but why is the disconnect there? Right? And so this is why we struggle. See, so when they are coming, they're not coming here to test the market. No. They are coming here with a playbook that works anywhere. What appeals to the Japanese man will appeal to the Nigerian man. There may be a few alterations here and there. If discounts work for the Japanese, discounts would work for the Nigerian. If exceptional customer service works for the Japanese, exceptional customer service would work for the Nigerian. If incentives, sales, or holiday prices work for the Japanese, it will certainly work for the Nigerian. They are coming with the playbook that you have never opened. Are we learning something? Okay. Let us open another verse. I don't know where this is, but someone should please do a quick search. Where King Solomon said, the slothful man roasts not that which he took in hunting. Let's put it up on there. But the substance of the diligent is precious. It says, I think it's Proverbs 12:27. Please put it up. Thank you, sir. Proverbs 12:27. There we go. King Solomon. I really love the writings of Solomon. I spend most of my time focused on the writings of Solomon and the writings of Jesus. Very insightful. Okay. It says, the slothful man, slothful means lazy. The slothful man roasted not that which he took in hunting. But the substance of a diligent man is precious. It says the lazy man does not process, does not properly package, does not properly season, does not properly present, does not properly sell what he took in hunting. He is lazy and is therefore insisting you buy the meat raw. But the diligent man understands. He takes that raw meat, he washes it, he figures out what are the best flavors. Do I do kilishi? Do I do suya? Do I put it into soup and make it into something? He processes it, and it says the substance of the diligent man is precious. And when something is precious, it exchanges for a higher price. It commands more demand. All right? The substance of a diligent man is precious. Unfortunately, it seems like a lot of our people are insisting on selling raw meat. Think about it. If I were to interview half of my brothers and sisters here today and I ask you, what do you do? I'm sure when you speak, if there's a translator standing beside you, he will say, raw meat, raw meat, raw meat, raw meat. All right? And one thing about us Nigerians is that we are very ambitious people. There's no Nigerian who does not want to blow. I've not seen. Of course, there will be a few exceptions. But generally, every Nigerian wants to blow. Every Nigerian believes that one day they are going to blow. But how? How? All right? It says the substance of the diligent man is precious. Let us go to the Cain and Abel story. I'm going to joggle our minds a little bit. Let's go to the Cain and Abel story, sometime in Genesis. Now, the thing about the story of Cain and Abel is there's a part there that is going to illuminate our minds there. So Genesis 4:3 says, and in the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought the fruit of the ground, brought off the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering. Okay, let's stop here for a bit. Now, why exactly was Abel favored? It doesn't say in that verse. We just try to reason out. We read it and we try to deduce what could have happened there. Now, we've had many interpretations. Some say that, it was his heart. Well, it didn't say his heart, it didn't say the reason. But we can try to figure out possible reasons, even if it doesn't say. Historically, what kind of offering does the God of the Old Testament demand? Yes? Animal sacrifice. Why are you giving me corn? Or yam? All right? But you see, a lot of us make the mistake of Cain. Now, see, it doesn't seem fair because Cain was a natural farmer. He had crops. That was what he had naturally. It also seems unfavorable. It seems to have favored Abel because Abel naturally had animals. So he just took what he naturally had, and it seems like what he naturally had was what was required. But that is life. Life does not care. The requirement is the requirement. The mistake some of us have is that we say, but this is what I have. Nobody cares. Figure it out. It's not about what you have. It's about what is required. Now, Cain can get upset all he wants, but it's not fair. Why is it that is what my brother has that is a natural requirement? What about what I have? We don't care. The requirement is the requirement. Now, if Cain had had some creativity and said, hey, Abel, can you trade me a goat for some tubers of yam so that I can make this sacrifice? It makes some sense. If you look into the later part of the Old Testament, so in Deuteronomy, where they were given stipulations on the kind of offerings to bring to the temple, it was animal sacrifice. But they now said, if you were not wealthy enough to bring like a proper four-legged animal, okay, fine, we can accept doves. But that is for those that don't have. We can accept. But don't bring your tuber. We don't ask for plantain. No, it has to be the stipulation. If you don't have enough, bring a lesser version of it, but it must be that same thing. But a lot of us are trying to impose on the marketplace what they never asked you for, and you wonder why you don't have money. Okay, so we say Nigeria has one of the largest economies in Africa. Has anybody here bothered to Google where Nigeria's money comes from? It's the same thing with Cain and Abel. God says bring sacrifice. Just ask, what kind of sacrifice does God require? You now brought corn. When he said, no, you are angry. You want to go and kill Abel. You are offering and you are being, and that's why, I'm so glad we started with Ecclesiastes, where it said the fact that you are skillful does not mean you will be rich. You can be skillful offering something the Nigerian economy never asked you for. Why did Nigeria ever ask you that they needed, I don't want to call some certain, I don't want to, Oga, no. Oga, I beg. I know some lovely people in those businesses, but I think they know themselves. Okay. Every Nigerian wants to blow, Abi. Okay. The richest Nigerians, where do they make their money? This thing is simple mathematics, my brother. It's very simple. If you say you want to blow, and you are not in that line that these people made their money from, why are you trying to suffer? Why? Why? So skillfully, brilliantly, intelligently offering what nobody sent you. If you do the research, where do we get our money from? Manufacturing. Energy. petroleum, renewables, cultivation, farming. Where else? Media and entertainment, yes, sir? Real estate. And real estate includes construction. Why is it that none of these things was your first option when you were thinking of what to do with your life? I was speaking somewhere in Noweri, and it was a very small audience. So when I have smaller audiences, I really speak raw, because I want them to get it. Everybody has been treating you with kid gloves. They are so afraid to offend you. I love you more than I need you. I say that all the time. If you like, say you are too harsh, I'm not talking to you again. That's okay. I'll be fine. But I will tell you that this path will never lead you to wealth. Pray all you like. You are offering to the Nigerian God what the Nigerian God never asked you for. So I said to the audience there, I didn't know that they would take the recordings and put it on social media. I thought it was just inside conversation. I said, it's only a poor man's child that will have a passion for hair and go and hold clipper. Poor people began to yell at me in the comments. Poor people began to, because you see, when they say the God of this world has blinded their eyes, that they cannot see. Which rich person goes to hold clipper? I've told this joke before, but let me tell it again for those that were not here the first time. So, let's do a thought experiment. Thought experiment. Imagine you were a billionaire, right? Not today, but say, put like, depending on how old you are, if you're very young, put like 20 years. There's a reason I'm saying 20 years, okay? You'll understand why. But just imagine like in 20 years, you're a billionaire, right? You've achieved everything you wanted to achieve. Luxury, contributions to society, everything. You've done everything, right? At this point in your life, it's not about money for you anymore. You know, you have no needs. There's just one thing that keeps you up at night. Your children. And you are wondering, after I struggled to build this life, to build this empire for myself and for my family, I don't know if these kids can hold their own. Was I too hard on them? Was I too soft on them? You know, can they carry on from where I stopped? You know, will they just waste it like some other people? Like, you know, you're thinking about it and you're wondering about it, you're praying about it. And anyway, one day you're, you know, somewhere on your balcony and you're having breakfast with your significant other, your wife or your husband, and you're just having breakfast, you know, having conversation about the good times. And then your firstborn son, who was off vacationing somewhere, let's say he just turned 25, all right? That's why I said think 20 years in advance. It's for the child, yeah? So let's say he just turned 25, all right? You know, 25 is around that age where your life has to start making sense. Everybody start asking you, okay, what's going on? That what's going on has many meanings. It could mean marriage, you know, like Reverend is always asking me at my age. Yeah? Thank God he was distracted. Okay. So, and then your firstborn son now comes in. Said, hey dad, hey mom, I've got news for you. And you're like, what's his name? Maybe Ebuka. Let's call him Ebuka. Like, Ebuka. Okay. What is this thing you have to tell us? All right, dad. All right, mom. I finally figured out what I want to do with my life. And you're like, hey, thank God. Hey, this boy will not disgrace me. My enemies will not rejoice over me. Finally. Okay, tell us. What is it, son? And your son, your pride and joy, says, Dad, while I was out vacationing, you know, I was out there, say, in Bangkok, right? And I was going through the jungle, and oh my goodness, Dad, I took these pictures of these beautiful butterflies that, Dad, look at them. Aren't they beautiful, Dad? And you're like, but you are just patient. Let this boy land. Let's see where he's going with this. Says, Dad, look at these butterflies, Dad. So, Dad, this inspired me so much. I figured out, Dad, that I want to spend the rest of my life taking these beautiful pictures of butterflies, Dad. Dad, I need you to support me, Dad. Mom, I need you to support me. I'm your son. Support me, Dad. What would you say? Nigerians always have a violent response to that question. Okay, rewind. Let us rewind, all right? Rewind. Let's say he comes in. Hey, Dad, hey, Mom, guess what? I finally figured out what I want to do with my life. Oh, really? Tell us more. And he says, Dad, Mom, while out there in Bangkok, I figured out that I had a passion for photography. I said, photography, you say? Tell me more. And he says, 1 second. And then he pulls up a presentation, and there are slides. And like, Can anything good come out of Galilee? It's okay. Then I start saying, so out there, Dad, I figured out that on most cameras, they use an outdated lens technology. I looked into the big three. I looked at Nikon, Canon, Fujitsu. And while out there, I was able to acquire a patent from a local developer. And this patent is going to be worth a lot in the future. It's the new wave of digital imaging technology. You don't worry about that. I use my pocket money of about $500,000 to acquire the patent. And here's how we are going to monetize this. We could either license out the patents to the manufacturers of these cameras, or we could go into production of the cameras themselves. I don't need any, funding. My friends and I can probably raise it ourselves, but I just came for some advice and what your inputs would be. What would you say? Mama Ibuka, I thought I'm saying this one and me get them. The other ones resemble you. This one resemble me. See our ear not the same. See our ear. For our family, anybody will get this ear, they get plenty sense. Okay. So why do we sometimes act like the first son? Choosing the lowest denominator. Say, do you want to blow? Yes. What do you do for a living? Sir, I'm a ghostwriter. If I talk now, you say, I will do it one day and prove to you. Oh, yeah, now. Time is passing. Yeah? It says, a slothful man roasts not that which he took in hunting. And the elite thinkers of this world have figured out that every raw talent has its ultra-processed form that is valuable. Please put that verse up again. Every raw talent has its ultra-processed form that is ultimately valuable. Okay, it says, the slothful man roasted not that which he took in hunting, but the substance of the diligent man. A lot of that diligence is in thinking. Keep on thinking. Keep on refining. The substance of the diligent man is precious. There was this video that went viral recently. It was a clip from a Netflix show. It was Cristiano Ronaldo's fiancée, her reality show, I think, on Netflix. There was a clip from there that was interpreted in different ways. So Cristiano Ronaldo was talking to his daughter. And the daughter was just saying, Dad, I don't want to work. I want to just be at home. And Dad said, no, my dear, you have to work. And she said, okay, that she wants to do, hey. Why are people laughing? Because my brother in Christ here was taking a nice picture of me. And the thing I was going to say is relating to what he was doing. Please let the picture be fine, I beg. No vex. So you'll see why I was saying that. So he now said, okay, what would you like to do? So his daughter now did this. Probably meaning photography. And he corrected her. He said, no, you mean Netflix producer. And she's a child, impressionable. So when daddy said that, she said, yes, Netflix producer. He has set her aspiration differently. See, parents, when your child says, I want to do this, don't just say, okay, anything you want. See, free will is a trap. Free will is a trap. Anybody that is pushing you towards free will knows that you don't have educated will. Free will is good. Educated will is better. Educated will means, yes, you are free to choose, but here is an education on what lies behind every door. Moses did this somewhere where he said, I place before you two paths. And he said, one leads to life. One leads to, I think, death or destruction. And he said, but I advise you, choose life. Not the free will of, you can do anything you want. Knowing that you don't have the education to choose the best options. You can do anything. Oh, with all that anything, you go and choose ghostwriting. Or like the child. If you go to Twitter, you'll see that clip. She's a child. Whatever she sees that she's passionate about, she was doing this. And he said, no child of mine. What? Netflix producer. That's it. Now, of course, it's probably a bit harder, but nothing good comes easy. The substance of the diligent man is precious. So I was talking about where Nigeria makes its money from. There's manufacturing, there's crops, there is exportation, there is importation, there is trade, there is construction, real estate. Why is it that in choosing where to start out your life, you chose the lowest common denominator? It's okay, I can guess why. A lot of us came up from survival, right? And when you're struggling to survive, it's whatever can provide money for now. So if you're a barber, it's okay. I don't blame you, okay? We're all a product of our environment at some point. But as Paul said, when I was a child, I thought like a child. I spoke like a child. But when I became a man, I put aside childish things. It is a childish thing to be a slave in your father's house. Was it Paul who said that of a prince, for as long as he has not come of age, he's still less than a servant? You're a prince. You're next in line. But if you're still a child, you can't quite make the best and most profitable decisions. So yes, you were struggling, you were trying to survive, so you started making hair. It's okay. You survived for a while. It won't make you rich in 1,000 years. It's okay, not everybody has to be rich. Not everybody has to be rich. Now, and I don't mean that sarcastically. I've been to some countries in the world that have fantastic social welfare systems. You don't need to be rich. An average middle-class life will bring you happiness and satisfaction. Your children will go to school. They will have good health care. You'll be fine. The only reason I am aggressive about this topic to us here is that Nigeria has no such thing. If you not get for this country, you will die. Society will forget you and leave you behind. We're already too many in this country. They say for America, say no man left behind, Abi. Here, they are trying to leave you behind. We are too many. They are what? 250? Just a bomb full ground. No plans for, you know? It's not a good thing, but that's reality. Now, what are you going to do in the face of that reality? Yeah? King Solomon said, or wrote, it says, for money is a defense. If I was speaking to another demographic, I probably would not be as aggressive about money, wealth, but money decides who lives or dies in this country. Unfortunately. But that's the way it is. A wise man once said, the best study of life is not on how you wish it to be, but on how it is. So, let us think. Are we Cain in the story? We are offering that thing. You now go on Instagram and see somebody doing giveaway and you are having that envy kindled in your heart. You are feeling bad, depressed. You know, it was in 2020 that the word depression just entered the Nigerian psyche. Small sadness, now you're depressed. Small sadness. Are you really depressed or you just don't have house rent? Look the matter well. I'm not saying depression does not exist. But most of the cases, not just money you not get. No, say, hey, I don't have money. I'm depressed. And I don't know when, because I'm kind of stuck in between generations. I'm from one generation, you know, and so I'm in Ibindo. Those of us that were born in the 80s, we somehow find ourselves stuck in between generations. Yeah, because we know one reality, and then we just matured into another reality, and so we are kind of... Does anybody feel that way sometimes? Because I came from a time when everybody figured stuff out. And then, for example, suicide was never spoken of. The only time I knew what suicide was when I read Things Fall Apart. That was my only cultural reference to suicide. We didn't know what it meant. If Chinua Achebe didn't write it in that story, I wouldn't have known what it meant. But now these days, I don't know why the moment they mention depression, the next word is, where did that come from? It's only someone like me that came from that generation that will be confused as to how the softness entered our psyche, the emotional fragility came. We were never like that. Yeah? If you are going through hard times, you talk to somebody. You get help. And I kind of understand, you know, times have changed. We're no longer as much of a communal society as we used to be. People are now more isolated. I get it. But still, knowledge. My people suffer for lack of what? People suffer for lack of knowledge. Everything is a knowledge problem. All right? So, I know I have another session coming up, but real quick, let me just take us back to secondary school economics. You see, I always say that, you know, we need to be very careful, young Nigerians, be very careful where you hear things like school na scam. Yeah? Be very, very careful. You see, in this life, there are two schools. There's the school of the elite, and elite, you know, elite has had a corrupted meaning in the Nigerian vocabulary. The dictionary meaning of elite means the best trained members of every group, of any group. That's what elite means. It doesn't mean rich necessarily. It means the best trained. So when you say things like an elite group of soldiers, it means the best trained soldiers. So in any society, the elite, originally what it means is the best trained, the best educated, the best thinkers. So when you get on Twitter and the masses are always bashing the elite, it makes no sense to join that sick conversation. You are the elite. So when they're talking about, oh, the elite, I say, oh, they're talking about me. What are they saying about me now? Even when I never still get to, I was still tapping into that. It's me. They are bashing us, the elite. What are they saying about us? Steady. All right? So in this life, you have the school of the elite, and this is worldwide. It's not just Nigeria. worldwide. You have the school of the elite. You have the school of, I won't say the poor. Let me say the what? You know, we live in a world of euphemisms. Nobody says poor anymore. We say developing world. Yeah, we say emerging. Emerging. Yeah. Anyway, you have the school of the rich and the school of the poor. All right? Let me put it that way. Now, the school of the poor does not sound like poverty. And that is why it is seductive. It is full of half-truths. A half-truth is worse than a lie. Everybody here is smart enough to detect a blatant lie. And you can just switch off. But a half-truth is very dangerous because it has just enough truth to make you agree. And then it just blindsides you with half information, inaccuracies. So that is what you see in the school of the poor. And you have to start getting discernment to tell the difference in these two institutions. Let me tell you, the school of the poor is an institution. It has a security forces. So when someone comes and starts to try to give you new knowledge, the forces, the elite forces of the school of the poor will come against that person. It will enter your minds. It will indoctrinate your mind. It will possess you to start changing your interpretations. This guy is insulting us. He's talking down on us. And that is why poor people always, without fail, kill their saviors. What did Jesus say that they killed him for? What exactly did he say? But in that moment, something just comes over them. Kill him. Give us Barabbas, the armed robber. Give us the guy that tells us what we want to hear. The guy that tells us, this is your year. We want that one. Daddy with the pamper. Give us that one. He told us that, yes. Anything you set your hand to do, do it faithfully. You will be faithfully poor. Because you chose the wrong thing. The Nigerian God never asked you for ghostwriting. And so, one of the ways you start to discern the difference in messaging, you have to be someone who can think. Discernment is not a Christian word. It's an English word. Discernment means to be able to tell the difference. It means to be able to discriminate. Discern and discriminate come from the same root. To be able to discriminate, to discern between what is true and what is not true. So, for example, one of the things that they say is, well, there's no competition. The sky is wide enough for two birds to fly. Is that true? Kind of. Kind of. It has just enough truth to suck you in and blindside you to the realities that the elite of this world know. Have you ever seen a nature documentary where one bird in flight attacks another bird because that bird is its food? So the fact that the sky is wide enough does not stop that bird from attacking you because you are a weaker bird and you are food for that bird. So you see how a truth can be used to mislead you. Of course it is true, the sky is wide enough, but what it now paints in your mind is that I don't have to worry about competition. Share your ideas. So most of us grow up without learning about patents, intellectual property, copyrights. And you see poor man Pekin, oh my goodness, so easy to know. After praying, after Reverend Ed has laid hands on you and giving you inspiration, you go to bed and finally the prayer comes to fruition. A life-changing idea is dropped in your heart in the dead of the night. You wake up in the morning and the first thing you do, Instagram Live. Hello everyone. So this thing just came to me right now. I don't know who this is for. Dummy, it's for you. Your unborn kids are just watching. And I'm like, man, mommy just gambled away our inheritance. There goes our wealth. I'm like, man, she couldn't shut up now. And you see, rich man Bikin, he's on that live stream, he's watching you. He's hearing what you're saying. He will not like, he will not comment. He will not register his presence on that. He will just... How many of you are active online, especially pastors here? And some people will come and meet you and be like, I've been following you since 2017. Has that happened to anybody? Those of you that are active, that teach, but you have never seen any trace. And you're like, hey, really? It happens. Those of us that do, we know. So I've been listening to you. As a matter of fact, I can tell you what you said in 2018. You will never see his comments. So if they talk now, rich man begin to watch you. They make sense, so. See? Say, favor is not given to who? Men of skill. Because sometimes you can be skillful, but you go see the zuzu. Yes, now. I said, make I talk on local so we can understand. I just switch from phonet to local now so that it go balance. Go to look at him and say, He will first doubt this thing because in his world, nobody just talks like that. So I don't think what she's saying makes sense. But let me just check. What she's saying is real. Wow, revolutionary. Come, lawyer. Patent this. Says the slothful man does what? Roasts nuts. Raw meat. The education of the elite, the education of the wealthy is different from the education of the poor. They'll go patent it. It first came out of your mouth, but if you practice this thing, you'll go to jail. I don't think jail is a consequence, but you just owe a lot of money. Yeah? So when they say, oh, the sky is wide enough for two birds to fly. I remember one time something happened on, I think Elon Musk sent rockets into space, and Jeff Bezos was congratulating him on his social media. And then, poor Nigerians are so quick to comment, like anybody gives a damn about your broke opinions. So quick. And the predominant conversation, which you must be conscious of. You see as rich man they do, it's collaboration. Go and Google how many times Jeff Bezos has taken Elon Musk to court for winning government contracts over him in what he considers to be an unfair manner. Because the big three are basically contractors. Because NASA, the space agency, they just figured out that it doesn't make sense to be building rockets anymore since these industrialists can do it better. So they just give them contracts to take their satellites to space. SpaceX, Blue Origin, and the one owned by Branson, Virgin Galactic. Yeah. Yes. So they make these guys to bid for the contract for who will take those missions to space. So Bezos has been taking him to court saying, look, the way you won that contract over me was unfair. That you will not see that one on the news. Can somebody Google right now, how many patents does Apple have? Another person Google, how many patents does Samsung have? How many does Google have? It's a crazy number. It's so crazy that I can't keep it in my head. Anyone that you figure out, just shout it. How many? What? 16240. 16. That is 16,000 240, is that right? 16,240 patents. One company. Of a subject that most people don't even know what it means in the first place. Not talk of even acquiring one. See what's going on? The substance of the diligent man is precious. Before I hand over, let me just run through something. Again, if you want to understand, and this is why I talked about the whole school and scam thing, because if you want to understand how to excel in this current world order, all you have to do is go back to secondary school social sciences. It was there all the time. As a matter of fact, when I realized how powerful secondary school curriculum was, I said, I wish I knew then. I would have taken it more seriously. First of all, the secrets of life, spirituality, is hidden in secondary school science subjects, physics, chemistry, biology. But we can talk about that another time. But the secrets of this earth are in your social sciences. Geography, history, government, economics, especially economics, commerce. You know what injustice that was done to us in secondary school? Hey. And me, I partook in it, so I take responsibility. When they said that science students are smart, art students are, hey. It was much later when I can't get sense. I said, no. Who rules the world today? Is the arts. And arts is what Oyibo will call humanities, by the way. That's different. But here we call it arts, right? Because those that study, what do you study in arts? You study government. You are the rulers. That's politics. You study literature. You understand the English language on a higher level than other people that studied ordinary English language. You study what else? History. Yeah? You study commerce. What is commerce? And we were in science class saying we are the smarter ones. Hey! No, we are the ones that work for you. This is you guys that own the world. Or should, if you know what it was. I think some of you even did bookkeeping. I think bookkeeping is a light version of accounting. You know? These are the things, you know, but anyway, I digress. What I'm saying is that the secrets to life dominating in this world are hidden in secondary school social sciences. But let me narrow down to economics, right? So in economics, we talked about factors of production, yes? And I never forgot this part. And they were what? Land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Now, of course, that was written in a time where you needed to build factories and all of that. So land, labor, capital. Now, why were they called the four factors of production, right? Because people who created this system of capitalism, Adam Smith and so on, they have realized that the only way to generate wealth is to give something of value, right? The only way to give something of value is to produce it, because if it can be found everywhere, then it's not so valuable, all right? So it has to be scarce. Note these keywords. Something has to be scarce for it to have value. Now, when it has value, because it is scarce, because you have no alternatives, then it can be exchanged for money. So the easiest way to create something, or rather to sell something that is scarce, is to produce it. To produce something implies that it does not currently exist. So you have to produce it. Therefore, you have to be productive. You have to engage in production. So here are the four factors that are required for production. Hence, the four factors of production. And then we say they are land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship. Cool. Now, when you look at these factors of production, again, I shall make good use of my remaining 4 minutes. You have land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. When you now look at labor, what does labor mean? People, manpower. We need manpower in order to be productive. Have you noticed that most factors of production have a market? You have the labor market. You have the capital market. But you see, we can't phrase it like that, otherwise these kids will not agree to be just a factor that is labor of my production. Have you noticed that the easiest denominator is for you to choose labor? So in the school of the poor, one of the loveliest sayings is that there is dignity as well. How much time do I really have? Because this clock has been resetting. Am I the one that is making it reset? Because I saw 4 minutes left just now. I just want to know how much time is left so I can respect it. Because it was 4 minutes, it was 3, now it's 8. So please, I don't want to disrespect the next person that's coming up. So let me just know how much time it is. I can condense it. All right? Okay. So let me move a little bit to the Tower of Babel. All right? You see, sometimes I see the Tower of Babel as Nigeria. Do you see the parallels? What was the crime of the people of the Tower of Babel? What did they do wrong? What did they do wrong? According to the story, not according to what you think happened, according to what you read. What did they do wrong? Yeah? Okay, you can't quite say it because it doesn't sound like a bad thing, right? Yes. They were united. That was their crime. They were united, they were determined. And it says when the sons of God came down, they said, man, these guys are united, Oh, thank you. It says, and the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. King James and grammar. Okay. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one. Gang. That's how they spoke that time, or don't say it again. Now the people are one. This was old English. Okay. And they have all one language. And this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Wow. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. Interesting. Okay, and then we saw the consequence of that. You see, Nigeria, population. I've stopped getting excited when people say Africa rising. But it's not Africa's innovation that is rising. It's not our creativity that is rising. Not our GDP or productivity. No, it's our consumption. They say that because we are a juicy market for what they produce. Because we consume what we don't produce. Africa rising, they love an emerging market that they can sell to because we don't produce as much. Yeah? So when you see these people are united and determined, nothing will be restrained from them. Let us go down and confuse their language. How do you acquire a language in the first place? Through hearing. As a child, you learn English or Igbo from your parents. Yeah? You hear what they're saying, your brain begins to decode the speech and make meaning, and you learn your language from what you hear. So if I want to confuse your language, what do? I have to affect also what you hear. The television programming in the school of the poor is not the same as that of the school of the rich. the TV shows that you all love and adore but can't admit to. So that is where the slogans, the hypnotic slogans will be chanted. Dignity in labor. And then this, I love this song that, was so popular in the Church of the Poor. This little light of mine. They face their head as saying, me, little light. Me. With all my sense, little. Conqueror energy. Me, little light. And then people say, anything you are doing in your little corner. See, when you read Jesus Christ's final words, he said something there where he said, please open, let your light so shine. These are things that you need to be meditating on to de-hypnotize your mind. You know why the hypnotism is necessary? Because the labor market needs you. If everybody became entrepreneurs and wanted to own the world, who would do the labor work? All right, lead. He said, okay, cool. Ye are the lights of the world. Wait, go to the preceding verse. Let me see. I think there was something in 13. Let me see 13. Go back to verse 13. Okay, go back again. No, like to preceding verses, like 13, 12, 11. There's a place the narrative starts. Okay, come back to 13. Let me see 12, please. Rejoice. Okay, it's from 13. Thank you. Let's have 13. So Matthew 5:13. It says, ye are the salt of the earth. But if the salt have lost his savor, KJV, bro. If I was start speaking KJV now, people would think I don't know English again. If the salt has lost its savor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and to be trodden underfoot of men. Okay, next verse. Ye are the light of Enugu State, Abakaliki, Akwa Ibom. Light of where? Do you really believe what you are reading, or do you just say because it's a Christian thing to say? Because I'm sorry, when I first read it, I took it very literally. That's just me. I took it literally. I've always had a world. You probably can tell from the way I talk. I refuse to conform to the local Kini, even though I'm pretty fluent at it. Ye are the light of where? A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Next verse. Look at this. Neither do men light a candle. It don't make sense. And put it under a bushel. Instead, you put it on a candlestick. And it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Where's your little light? It says now, let your light so shine before who? Not before God. Not before God. It's not before God, eh? It's before who? Men. Okay. And women, amen? That, somebody caught it, eh? That they may see your good intentions, your good heart, your good ideas, your good words. After that comes the reward. Glorify your Father which is in heaven. Let your light so shine. The mandate has always been mega. But you have to be discerning. When I grew up reading the Bible, even in the Bible, some parts of the Bible where I would see and be like, okay, this is nice. It's very good for the comfort of poor people. It's not for me. And Solomon wrote, seest thou a man what? Diligent at his work. He shall do what? Okay. Who was he writing that to? His own son? Who was he writing it to? He ain't talking to me. What would he tell his son instead? It says, my son, These people are going to hustle and struggle and outperform each other to one day come and present themselves to you. Here's how to have good judgment, to pick this from that. At the highest levels of power, the number one skill is discernment. Solomon wrote, money is a defense, but wisdom is a defense also. But the excellency of knowledge is that wisdom gives life to them that have it. You see, poor people always have half. So you hear it in our music. If you don't get money, that's it. A lovely incantation. It's important. But at the highest levels of power, wisdom is a defense. And Solomon proceeded. Please put it up. I want you guys to see it yourself, because I've realized that most Christians don't read the Bible. I know you will not agree, but it's true. The best of the Bible you get is when you come to church and they put it up here. But when you go home, you know, go open that thing. So let's open it now. That wisdom is a defense place. Money is a defense. Let's look at it together. If I just say, read it when you get home, you will not go read that thing. So let's look at it together. It says, for wisdom is a defense, and money is a defense. But the excellency of knowledge is that wisdom gives life to them that have it. Do you realize that most of us didn't know this last part of the Bible, of the verse? We know money is a defense. We optimize for that. But say for wisdom is a defense, money is a defense, but the excellency of knowledge is that wisdom gives life. So you have to be able to discern, where is this messaging coming from, all right? So the four factors of production that you require for production is land, labor, capital. But see, the poor man doesn't think about capital. He doesn't want to stress himself about capital. He just wants to eat. I call it the spirit of Esau. It says, and Esau despised his birthright. He said, what am I doing with birthright? I am hungry. He said, I beg, who baby grandma help? I beg, you know, and you hear when poor people talk, you're like, I beg. Where the money there for that himself? Who down help? How much is that himself? Survival. Right? And so you have land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship. And so most people that say, I'm an entrepreneur, that is the most popular designation, entrepreneur. I'm an enter. What are you entering? You're entering what? I'm an entrepreneur. But have you ever really studied entrepreneurship? It's a whole school. All right? And I shared this with you before. One of the easiest mental models for entrepreneurship is understanding this concept I learned from agriculture that says, the farther you are from the soil, the more money you make. It applies across industries. The people that are holding the hoe and the cutlass, those guys are the laborers. They are that number 3, all right? The person who makes the most is the person who does the transportation, the processing, the exportation. These are the higher subjects that I'm inviting people of God to study. You see, the thing about poverty, and I'm not saying it's your fault, sometimes by a roll of the dice, you were born to parents who did not know better. None of us could choose that. But when I was a child, I thought like a child. When I became a man, I put aside childish things. You see, when I realized the effect that childhood poverty has on the brain was when I first got into university, right? And when I got into university, Benson Hausa University in Benin, I went to the library one day, and I saw a book in the library called How to Become a Master Student. So I was really happy. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I took out the book, and I opened it, and the book talked about goals. I'd never seen the word goals in that context before. And it was like a workbook. It said, write your short-term goals, and it defined what short-term goals were. I think I was like 19 years old then. It said, write your mid-term goals here, write your long-term goals. So in the part for short-term goals, I could write a lot. I failed so much. Mid-term goals, I struggled a bit. Long-term goals, I was blank. And that's when I knew I had a problem. Because when you grow up living from hand to mouth, you don't know where your next meal will come from. It trains your mind to think in 5 minutes. 5 minutes. You don't think 10 years. So delayed gratification is hard, even when you grow up. So I'm sure many people have come here to speak to you and say, save, invest, budgets, but you go break that colo. You maybe use piggy vests, where you can lock it up, you will unlock them. Does anybody relate? Don't raise your hand so that they will not look at you and say, eh? Yeah? But that is what it does. So I'm just saying that it's not like I'm blaming you for it. It was not your fault. We are all a product of our environment. There's a lot, even me, myself today, I'm not doing badly, but I still recognize that there are some parts of that early programming. God is helping all of us. All right? But you need to become aware. My people perish because of lack of knowledge. Sometimes you choose what you are doing in life now because of those things that you saw growing up. Most of which you don't even remember. But it has colored your tastes, colored your aspirations. All right? So land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship. So that entrepreneurship, the entrepreneur, it is your job to wield all the other factors of production, the land, the capital, the labor. When I say capital here, poor man likes to ask, please, which business can I do without any investment? With zero capital. Which business can I do with zero capital? If I were to create a seminar today, how to make 6 figures with zero capital. Oh! That money you don't have will come out. And that's how they get scammed every single day. You know the latest one that happened now? I don't call any name, but you know that one? The last time I came, I mentioned the one, Abi. You guys remember the one I mentioned? There's always one coming. And I told you then, another one will come out. But you can't, they can't help themselves. All right? Anyway, so the entrepreneurship, that last one, the entrepreneur is you. And that entrepreneur needs an education in order to wield those factors of production into profitable activity. That is the way to hammer. Now, it's going to take some re-education. You would have to go back and restudy but that entrepreneurship is a study on how the modern world was built. This is no longer the world of your grandfathers, where wealth was measured by the yams in your barn. It's now measured in money. You have to understand the world of money, the world of capitalism. I was watching a documentary yesterday about Russia and when the Soviet Union fell and how they were once communist and how they switched to capitalism. I'm just going to share this and close so you know that it's not a Nigerian thing. It's all over the world, all right? When they switched to capitalism, now communism said that just work hard and the government will take care of you. Now, when the USSR, the Soviet Union, fell, the president of Russia now simply said, okay, people go and start businesses. What are you talking about? They didn't know how. Most of them, the masses, didn't know how to transition to this new thing called capitalism. So the government said, okay, we're going to give all the companies that were owned by the government before, we're going to give stock to the masses. When the masses got these shares, they quickly resold them for bread because they were hungry. The few people who knew the value of those stocks bought it up from the poor people. And they became the oligarchs in Russia. They became the rich oligarchs in Russia. The same thing, the education, the elite of the time. My people perish for lack of knowledge. Not necessarily money. Money has its place, but lack of knowledge. I've always said one of the best things you can do for your re-education is to get an MBA. They lied to you that university is so that you can get a job. That was not why you went to university. You could use it to get a job, but that was not the purpose. The purpose of university is to understand the modern world and all the options that exist within it, and to build a network of people that also have that same understanding of the modern world so you can all collaborate and build wealth. That's why you go to university. That's why you have alumni networks that most of you don't even use. That is why, come rain, come shine. There are some parents who don't have money, but they ensure their children go to a certain kind of school. They know the value. Poor man will go on social media and say, I beg you, all these schools are charged for $1 million. Get out of those conversations. They are not for you. Get out of there. Right? That's why you went to university, to understand the modern world. But one thing you can do for yourself, whatever you're doing, get an MBA. Now, different pockets, all fingers are not equal. I get it. Go to the internet. There are free MBA programs online. Maybe before the end of this whole session, I will put out a link where I collated some resources for my community. I'll share with you as well. Some free online MBA programs you can take at home that will teach you things like what the modern world calls innovation. It's not what you call innovation. Everybody believes they are innovative. Understand what the modern world calls innovation, strategy, management. These are the things that move the needle in the world. So let me close with this verse again. Let your light so shine. Let me close with this, okay? Let me close with this. Nobody is playing small in their little corner with their little lights, okay? You have big lights. Big lights. Let it shine. Let's put it up there. All right, thank you. All right, can we please read together? Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Father in heaven, we thank you for your word today. We thank you for the ideas that have been illuminated in our minds. We ask that we receive the grace and the courage to carry out these words to perfection. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen. Clap, clap, clap. It's good. You can clap. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I believe we can do much